Okay, so the Breath Hub has asked me to provide a couple of cases to give you a feel for this. And so I'm going to do the first case now, and then when we finish that, then we'll do a separate recording for the second case. Okay, for the first case, this is an example. I don't want to give any great details because I don't want to be sure not to reveal anything about this person personally. But this is a person, I'll leave certain things out, who had a breathing issue where she felt that she couldn't get enough air, so she couldn't go to work. She was a healthcare provider in private practice and was basically unable to see her clients 1 or 2 days a week. She just couldn't get there. She didn't have any idea what was wrong, except she couldn't get enough oxygen. She felt like she was suffocating. She couldn't go to work. And she was a friend of mine. And so I talked to this person about her problem. And I asked her, I said, well, I understand that this problem has been going on for several years, and that you're a superstar athlete, and that you're in really good physical shape, and that you miss 1 or 2 days of work every week. This must be a rather expensive proposition for you, rescheduling all the time. And she said, yes, it's a really serious problem. I don't know what to do about it. I have this oxygen deficit. I have this air hunger all the time. It's driving me crazy. And I said, well, have you seen anybody about it? Have you seen a physician or something about it? And she said, well, yes, I've seen a number of physicians, and they've given me prescriptions. And I said, well, have these prescriptions helped you? She said, well, yes, they have helped me. They've helped me. I feel less anxious about it. I feel better from that perspective. I don't like the side effects, but I said, what about the breathing? Has it had any effect on your breathing? She said, no, I still have the same problem. I said, so you still miss the same number of days per week? She says, yes, I'm still missing the days. The prescription just helps me deal with the symptoms. I just still have the air hunger problem. And so I said, when does this seem to happen? When is it, is there a particular day of the week? Is there a particular time that this happens? And she said, no, it just shows up, and I just can't get enough air. It just shows up. And I said, well, it doesn't seem that that's exactly true. She said, what do you mean? I said, you told me you miss a whole day of work. She said, well, yeah, is a whole day. I said, well, then it does show up at the beginning of the day, right? Otherwise, you couldn't miss a whole day. She said, well, yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. It shows up at the beginning of the day. And so I said, well, you get up in the morning and you can't breathe? And she said, oh, no, I'm fine when I get up. I said, do you eat breakfast? She said, yeah, I have breakfast. I said, how do you feel at breakfast? Fine. I feel fine. I said, well, it seems to me then you find at breakfast, but then you can't go to work, that it must occur after breakfast. And she said, well, yeah, I guess you're right. Hey, that reminds me. Yeah, sometimes it happens right after lunch. I said, it seems to occur right after eating. She said, yeah, I never thought about that. Here, this woman, for 3 years, she's been suffering with this problem, and it never even occurred to her that it was occurring after she ate. And no healthcare professional had ever even asked her. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And I know this woman's got a problem around breathing and eating. What did it take? Just asking her a couple of questions. That's all it took. Okay? So now I say, now that's really interesting. I said, now what do you do after, you can't get your breath? What do? Do you read books? Do you watch television? Do you go for a walk? Do you talk to your mother? What do you do? She says, well, I try to get my breath. I have these techniques I've learned to slow my breathing down. I try to relax. Every day I try to do this. And I said, well, does it work? And she says, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So why do you keep doing it? So I don't know what else to do. She says, in fact, it gets worse. Sometimes it just gets worse. So there's something really wrong with me. There's something wrong. How could it get worse? And I said, well, how long does it last? What about dinner? Are you, after dinner and everything, are you still suffering this when you go to sleep? She said, no. She says, no, I'm fine. I said, well, then it ends sometime. When does it end? She said, well, I do my workouts every day. I do a 2-hour workout. She's a superstar. She does her 2-hour workouts. I said, well, you mean you go to the gym at the end of the day, you do a 2-hour workout and you feel fine? She says, yeah. I said, well, that's really interesting. Here you are struggling to get enough air, sitting on your sofa, but you go to the gym and work hard and you get all the oxygen you need. Is that right? Am I right about that? She said, that's really amazing. You're right. I said, that doesn't make any sense, does it? You get enough oxygen when you're working hard, but you can't get enough oxygen when you're sitting in a chair. She says, God, that is really weird. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? Next time I can't get enough air, I'm going to go to the gym and work hard. And I say, yeah. I said, that should tell you something else. Maybe there's something else going on here. Because maybe when you go to the gym, you stop doing something you're doing when you're sitting on your sofa. Says, yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? I said, yeah, that makes sense. So let's see if we can find out what it is you do on your sofa. Apparently, when you're on your sofa, you breathe differently than when you get in the gym and you start working out. You breathe differently. Did you ever think about that? She said, no, I never really thought about it. All I know is when I go to the gym, I forget about my breathing. I'm not focused on my breathing anymore. When I'm not focused on my breathing, I do great, I guess. Yeah, that's amazing, she said. So I said, okay, why don't we look at your CO? We've had your CO2 level here. We've been looking at it, and your CO2 level is normal. How do you feel right now? So I feel great. There's nothing wrong. I feel perfectly well. I said, okay, could we do a little bit of playing here? Can we play with your breath a little bit? She said, sure. I said, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to walk you through I'm going to do a little coaching with you. And do you mind if we do some over breathing if necessary? She said, no, I'll anything to try to get over this. So what did I do? I said, I want you to sit back, rest easy. Okay, rest easy. Take breaths that are a little bit larger. Okay, a little larger. That's good. Slowing the breath down, a little larger breath. And she's going along, and I'm watching on the screen, and her CO2 level is dropping because she's taking these bigger breaths. She's losing carbon dioxide. She goes down to a moderately low level, and suddenly she says, oh my God, this is exactly what happens to me. This is what happens to me, and I'm not going to be able to get out of this the rest of the day, she says. And she's really angry at me. She's actually looking at me, and I'm the cause of the problem. And I said, well, what did I ask you to do? She said, I did exactly what you asked me to do. I did what you told me. And I said, what did I tell you to do? I asked you to do what you do when you're sitting on that sofa. I asked you to do what you do when you're sitting on that sofa. And what is it that happened? And she went, I can't believe it. That's true. That's exactly what I do on the sofa. Well, look what it's doing to you. She said, that's incredible. I said, well, what's the solution? She said, well, I have to stop doing this. I said, well, go ahead, stop. So what did she do? She couldn't stop. She had no idea what to do. This is where negative practice comes in. She had no idea how to stop. She couldn't stop. And then it was getting worse. It started to go down further. She said, I am really getting panicky now. Because she was trying to control everything, and it was working against her. So I coached her, and what did I do? I asked her to allow as small a breath as was possible, just to allow the breath and let it be as minimal as possible. And after about 7 or 8 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes it took, she got up towards a normal level, and she went, my God, I feel so good. I said, well, what are you so surprised about? She said, I'm hardly breathing. I'm hardly breathing at all. And I just can't believe this. There's hardly any air. And I said, well, that's all you need. I said, you're retaining that precious gas called carbon dioxide. Well, I can't believe it, she said, because I had someone test me with my carbon dioxide level. A few months ago, someone tested me and they told me it was normal. And I said, yeah, no, most of the time it is normal, except when? Except when? She said, well, I guess when I eat. And I said, yeah, eating is the trigger here. Eating is your trigger. And then she realized what had happened when she got into a hurry and she was trying to get out the door and she started, eating fast and the breathing would get desynchronized. She would overventilate, she'd get symptoms, and then she'd try to control the breath and she'd get trapped. That's what happened.